Hi, this is Pastor Dustin. I'd like to welcome you to the second installment of Going Infinite. We'll start here with the draft portion. So I've been playing around with Moto a little bit more, and I have figured out how it works just a little bit better. So I will try to have right up here the card image, and I know that can be helpful for folks, especially if you don't have great resolution on your screen, because then you can actually read what the card does, especially if you are new to the set and you don't have the whole list memorized just by the picture, or if it's one of those rares or mythics that never really gets played with that much and you're not familiar. So in this first pack, looking over, there's nothing overwhelming. The rare's no good, but there is a really solid removal card in Liturgy of Blood, so that's one I've got highlighted here. Looking around through the rest of the pack, there's also some other removal in Chandra's Outrage and Pacifism, and so I ultimately end up sticking with the Liturgy here. When in doubt, I always just take removal and see what else is out there in the packs. Alright, so here's another pack that's got nothing completely overwhelming, but there is a Corrupt there, which would keep me going on the mono black plan. There's a Shock, which is fine removal. If we want to stay black, hopefully a Cockatrice would wheel. There's also a Spore Mound there, which is very strong, and Blood Barn. So looking around here, what would be the best pick? Right now I've got the Corrupt highlighted, and that's fine if you end up going mono black, but if you're not heavily black, then the Corrupt can be underwhelming. And so I can also stick with the Blood Baron and continue to signal black eventually. You know, you're going to see the Corrupt and the Cockatrice going by, which isn't a really strong black signal for the person next to me. But in these format events, the signaling might work a little bit differently. So anyway, with the Blood Baron here, we can get into black and hopefully black-red, because one of the strong archetypes in M14 is the black-red sacrifice deck. So not only do we have the Blood Baron here, we also have this little card which steals a creature, and then you can sack it to the Blood Barn. So we go with that, and there you go. So there's another card for the sack deck, a Barrage of Expendables. The effect that it gives is kind of mediocre, but it's just another thing that allows you to sacrifice any creatures that you might steal. So that's in here. You've also got a Goblin Shortcutter, which is a fine card in a black-red deck. You've got the Sliver, which is probably just the outright strongest card here. If we were blue, there would be Frost Breath. And other than that, everything's not spectacular. Some people like Seacoast Drake. I'm not a big fan. So we're looking through all of this. If we pick up the Barrage, then we hope that the Shortcutter will go. Also, this card over here, I can't even see it with my own resolution here to remember the name, but it's a colorless and a red. It's a sorcery, and it says creatures without flying can't block this turn. So it essentially gives all your creatures flying, which for an Alpha Strike might actually do the trick, and I've never played with it before, and I'm interested to see what it would do. So here we've got a couple of decent black cards. The Necromancer is just a good card in its own right, even if you don't have any other humans in your deck. Something that costs 3 for a 2/2 that replaces itself when it dies is fine. It's also good in the Sacrifice deck, because if you sacrifice a human, you actually get a zombie in return. So you can sacrifice that human and the zombie. So for something like Blood Baron, yeah, that comes into a +4/+4 for any kind of human that you would control. So that's just a strong pick in general, even if the sacrifice plan doesn't work out for us. Okay, so this wheels. Alright, so red is apparently wide open here. We've got Chandra's Outrage, which is a very strong card. The instant speed fireball down there, also wheeled. And we've got Altar's Reap. And Altar's Reap is good by itself, just because you can sacrifice a creature that they were about to kill with the removal spell, or sacrifice something that was chump blocking. But in this deck, the card's even stronger, because if you steal one of their things, it enables you to sacrifice it. Oh, somebody just disconnected from the draft. I hope they get back on soon. So I ended up going with the Outrage, because I think it's more highly valued and more likely to spin the other card. Okay, there we go. So the Act of Treason did spin for us. So that is, you know, the best possible card that you can have in this deck. I can't think of very much that you would want to pick over it when you're going for this archetype. I'm not even sure what this card does. Okay, so it's terrible. Yeah. Yeah, the Act of Treason is the clear pick here. So right now it looks like our sacrifice deck is doing alright. We have one thing that steals a creature. We have 2 sacrifice outlets and the Barrage of Expendables and the Blood Baron. And then the rest is solid. The Necromancer is solid on its own. We have 2 very good removal spells, Enchanter's Outrage and Liturgy of Blood. Okay, good. The Dude Man Strong rejoined the event, so we don't have somebody that's missed a whole bunch of picks. Hate to see somebody drop like that. Okay, he might be sitting next to us, though, because it's taking quite a bit for our pick to come back around to us. So anyway, it looks like we're settled into this archetype pretty well. Okay, so we've got Shrivel as a possibility, and there are some decks that run a ton of X1s. The Goblin Shortcutter, I think, is the safe pick here, especially since we don't have any 2-drops yet. We only have 2 creatures. You've also got Seismic Stomp, but I'm not sure if I want to play it or not, and it'll also probably spin. So it looks like the strongest card here is the Shortcutter. You could also go with the Shield if you wanted to. It's an okay card. I'm never really super excited to play it. Okay, so there's nothing really here for us. You've got that Shield, but you've also got a Voracious Worm, and if that thing goes off well, that's going to be difficult for us to deal with, because if somebody sacks a Brindle Boar and gets that out there, then Chandra's Outrage doesn't touch it. So right now, the only thing that we would really have for it is Liturgy of Blood. Although it might be a fun thing to steal and sack, so. But anyway, just hitting out those efficient creatures. Okay, so Altar's Rapier is the clear pick. It's the best card for our particular deck. You've still got the instant speed Fireball going around, and the Dragon Hatchling. So it looks like red is fairly open. Someone did grab that Corrupt, so we're going to be fighting someone for black. And if they're going to play the Corrupt, they're going to try to get into black fairly heavily. So the deck may end up going more toward the red side. We'll have to see. Okay, so spin the wheel and pick a card. Nothing of note. I guess Sentinel Sliver. Just again, because it's a quick drop and we don't want our opponent to come right out of the gates on us, we'd like to be able to set up our steal and sack plan. Zephyr Charge if somebody happens to get the rare that goes along with that for the combo deck. Okay, so here we get another chance at that Seismic Stomp if we want it. The Quarter Shield is still in here and the Shrivel's here. It would kill our own Shortcutter. So we'll go with the Seismic Stomp just in case I want to try that out later. Okay, not really worried about the Solemn Offering since it doesn't take out too much other than the Barrage. So I'll take the creature. This looks like another situation where you grab the creature whether or not I play it. If the deck does end up more heavily red, then the Fire Breathing will be helpful. I'll take the land and hope that somebody plays that awful card. Okay, so at the end of pack 1, I've got 9 playables, which is great. And hey, there we go. So we get another Act of Treason. So that's our best possible pick here. There's an Opportunity in this pack, and you never want to play up against Opportunity. That card is backbreaking if your opponent casts it. What else? There's also a Witch Stalker in here, which is a card that could very much wreck us because it's got hexproof, and we're going to be a deck that is hopefully heavy in removal, but we don't have any effects that make them sacrifice a creature. So the hexproof would be strong for us. And also, if you cast a black spell during your opponent's turn, it gets bigger. I don't know if we have any. Well, we do have some black spells that we might cast during the turn. That would make an Altar's Reap a little bit worse. But if this whole thing spins, there's really not that much left for red and black in this pack. Actually, there's nothing left for red. And all black really has is a Ring Flesh, which I'll probably have the opportunity to pick up later if I want one in the deck. So if this comes back around, I'm going to hate out the Witch Stalker or the Opportunity if nobody realized that they should pick that up. Okay, so we've got another Blood Baron, which is a fine creature in itself, and it's got that sacrifice ability. There's also a Nightwing shade that might spin that we could possibly play. Yeah, this round of packs is looking fairly empty for us. There's a Child Knight, which is okay. We go with the strongest card in the pack, which is the Blood Baron. Okay, so we've got a choice here. Yeah, if I could just take all of the cards in this pack and let the rest of them go, I'd be fine, because there's plenty here for us. You've got Tenacious Stead, which is very good in this deck, because you've got all the things that utilize the sacrifice. And so in this deck, that's a very strong card. You've also got Sangir Vampire, and I don't have much on the top end now, so that could be picked up. Mark of the Vampire is a very strong card that can swing games in a hurry. And even the Firecat is fine if you've got a deck with a lot of removal in it. You can start to take out big chunks of 4. So, oh look, there's even a Goblin Shortcutter. Okay, so this pack just has all different kinds of things. Even a Vile Rebirth if we were short on playables at some point, or to bring it in as a sideboard card. This is just a strong pack in general. Somebody's going to get a Celestial Flare, Advocate of the Beast. Right there, there's an Elvish Mystic. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so we're back to a fairly shallow pack here. Corpse Hauler's a great card for us, but there's not much else. You got that Lightning Talons, but I'd like to stay away from those if possible. It's more of a sideboard card if your opponent shows absolutely no removal. So the Corpse Hauler, it's nice and low on the curve. It brings back a creature, so, if your Blood Baron gets taken out or if your Necromancer goes, you can bring it back. And it's a human, so it triggers the Necromancer. Okay. So somebody did get that Witch Stalker, we're going to have to face that down. Nobody picked up the opportunity. And there is not that much in this pack for us. A Ring Flesh is probably the only card in this pack that I would play. I don't really like Dark Favor in a deck like this. So it looks like just keep an opportunity out of somebody else's hands is the best thing that we can do. And in a 4-man format, hate drafting is actually much better than it is in an 8-man format. Especially with a pick like that where it's not really that much of a wasted pick anyway. Because in an 8-man format, you're looking at 7 other guys that you may or may not play. But if you expect to go to the finals, then you're going to play 2 of the 3 other people that are in your draft. And so if there's a card that's just going to break your back, you got a 2 out of 3 chance that you're going to end up seeing it. So it's worth actually hate drafting in a 4-man format. Okay, so Tenacious Stead spun, and that's absolutely the pick here. I think in this deck it's better than Mark of the Vampire. Let's see, looks like, I believe the Strong White card was in this pack. So somebody picked that up. Nobody got Advocate of the Beast. Nobody wants Scroll Thief. I wonder if blue is just completely untouched. Obviously it's too late to go blue at this point because we're pretty heavily into the sacrifice deck. But with Scroll Thief going around and opportunity, you wonder if no one is playing blue and it's just shallow, or if someone is playing blue and they don't know what good cards are. So anyway, you've got Lightning Talents here. That's about it. Here's that Ring Flesh that we were talking about before, so that comes back around. Got the Dark Favor. I could go on the Child Knight for a nice life swing. I could go on Sangir for a faster clock in the air. Okay, again, there's nothing here. I guess Angelic Wall would probably be the biggest pain for us to run into early if we're trying to get some drops through. That blocks pretty much everything except for the Sangir. There's that Scroll Thief. So I don't know, maybe pick up those blue cards just in case the last pack is absolutely flooded with blue and something weird happens, or go for the Vile Rebirth. At the Vile Rebirth, I've yet to play with it, but I was talking with a new friend of mine that I met through these videos, and he was saying that it's a good sideboard card just in case somebody has something that targets their own creatures. Like if you were going to Corpse Haul something, and in response, you could take it out of their graveyard. Okay, so get a whole bunch of white cards there. Some fairly mediocre white cards. So it's not necessarily a signal that nobody's in white. Okay, so we end up with 17 playables. That means we need 6 more out of this next pack, so we should be fine. We're really missing that 4-drop spot. That one's fairly empty. It's a fast curve. Okay, so we've got Liturgy of Blood here. And with the format being this slow, Liturgy of Blood, even though it costs a ton, just unconditional removal. You hope that Chandra's Outrage comes back around, so you get a pair of those. Mind Rot can be good, especially in a slow format if you can hold off long enough to get their last 2 cards. Not really anything else for us in here, but if we can spin either the Outrage or the Mind Rot, we should be okay. If we could get 2 good cards out of each pack, or even just 2 playable cards out of each pack, we'd be doing alright. There's a Banisher Priest down there that somebody's going to pick up. Another Celestial Flare. I'm happy that it seems like nobody's in the blue deck, because you've got 2 decent blue cards down there at the rare and uncommon slots. Okay, so looking around, you've got Vampire Warlord, which is a sacrifice outlet. I feel like it's not that great for 5 mana. We've got a Canyon Minotaur here, and that fits right into the 4-drop slot. So I think I'd rather have the Canyon Minotaur to fill out my curve a little bit better, than go up a mana and stick with another sacrifice outlet. Also, there's a Bubbling Cauldron here, and that's a good sacrifice outlet. We don't have any newts to sacrifice to it yet, and I don't imagine we'll get any. But even just by itself, the ability to gain 4 life is fine. Doesn't seem like there's a lot else in here. You've got the fatty over there, the Minotaur, which is okay if you don't have enough playables, but it doesn't really fit into the theme of the deck. The Hunt the Weak is very strong. Oh, there's a Mutavault over there. Okay. There's also a Shock, which help bring our curve down a little bit, although our curve is still pretty strong. Not on the upper end, but it seems like we'll be able to curve out in the early game fairly well. Okay, so there's not a whole lot for us here. You've got the Shock, the Mutavault. If you're going to play creature enchantments, you've got Shiv's Embrace. Looks like we're fairly even here between red and black, so you'd get a little bit of fire breathing out of that. I don't exactly know what you'd want to put it on, though. So yeah, it seems like Shock is the strongest pick here. I kind of like the Mutavault to come back around, though, because since it's all creature types, it does count as a human. So if you get your land killed, you get a zombie. Okay, so this is good. This final pack here has all different kinds of stuff for us. It's got the Altar's Reap. It's got Grim Return, which I've never played with before. But you get to take a creature card that just died that turn and get it back, which seems like it would fit fairly well into our game plan, because if you can steal something and sack it, then you can take whatever their best creature is and grab it. Or you can sacrifice your own thing and get it right back. So I'd be interested to play that card, but I don't know that I'm willing to take a gamble right now over all these really good things, especially with my 4-drop being open. That Maulhorn just fits right in there. Yeah, you've got the Altar's Reap, you've got the Corpse Hauler, you've got the Instant Speed Fireball that we still haven't picked up one of. Yeah, this pack is loaded. We're going to get at least, at the very least, 2 very solid cards out of this. Okay, there we go, Chandra's Outrage. So our 4's drop is starting to pick up a little bit more. You've also got the Mind Rot, but we've got plenty in our 2 drops for now, and I just think that Outrage is a much stronger card in general. So now we've got a pair of those. Coming back around, we no longer have a problem with our 4-drop. We can pick up that Minotaur. That's a really late Hunt the Weak. But we're in no position to splash, so this looks like an easy pick in the Minotaur. Oh good, the Mutavault did come back around. I wasn't sure if that was going to happen or not, just because anyone can use that card. It doesn't look like we're too mana intensive right now. Our 4 and 5 drops have doubles, but everything up to there is just a single. So we can probably get away with playing a colorless land and not suffering too much for it. Other than that in the pack, there are some red and black cards, but none of them are really... I'm not dying to get my hands on any of them. Okay, so we've got the Corpse Hauler, the Altar's Reap, and the Grim Return. So we get to have 2 of these cards. Now the Corpse Hauler is a proven entity that I know what it does, and it goes really well because it's human. So I like the Corpse Hauler. Altar's Reap is strong. I do already have one of them. My creature count is 11, which is a little low, so that pushes me towards the Corpse Hauler. I am interested in the Grim Return. And the Dragon Hatchling doesn't make my top 3, and right now I'm trying to figure out what my top 2 are. So we'll just go with the proven entity and hope that we get... Well, we'll get one of those, so just as a matter of waiting to see what it is. Okay, so we're already up to 23 cards, not counting the Mutavault. Let's hide that. Yeah, we've already got one Ring Flesh. It's not such a great card that you want to be playing multiples of them, unless you're playing some really strange deck. So we'll stick with the Mind Rot here. It helps to bail out our curve a little bit. Alright, so we got another Sock Outlet if we decide that we want to play it. Probably won't, but just in case. Shrivel would take out a couple of our guys here, take out our Child of Night and our Shortcutter, so we'll take it for ourselves to stop those from getting whacked. And just in case we play the X1 deck, then we can board it in. Okay, so this looks like a deck, even if we don't get any other cards. I'm fairly happy with this. I've never played the Black-Red Sacrifice deck. I understand how it works, but I don't have that hands-on experience that can be really helpful. So this will be an experiment. Okay, so we got both of those cards that we were thinking about. Got Altar's Reap, another known entity, or Grim Return. Yeah, we'll stick with the Grim Return because I've never played it before, and it looks like it could be really good, so we'll experiment with it. I guess the Pain O Heat could be more of a pain. Pick through the rest here and put our deck together. We've got more than enough playables, so we'll be able to cut a few of these. Let's start cutting now, okay, they all finished up. Alright, so Sengir, Liturgies. I got 2 Liturgies, which is nice. Yeah, it looks like the deck in general has got enough removal to make up for the low creature count. Got that Tenacious Dead we wanted. Got the Mulhorn, Pair of Outrages. Get the Minotaur. You know, the Minotaur, it doesn't really fit into the theme of the deck at all, but it's solid filler. And since it's not double red, it does help a little bit. Yeah, let's get this Cauldron in, the Mutavault. So let's see, looks like we could use one more card. So we could experiment with Seismic Stomp. I'm interested to see how that plays out, but I don't want to play it and face off some sort of Flyers deck. Hatchling's okay, Talons are okay. The Warlord I'm not wild about just because it's higher on the curve. I think I have enough Sacrifice outlets. You got Ring Flesh for that conditional removal. So I'd say this is really between Ring Flesh, Child of Night, just to have another warm body. Although, I don't think you can really call a vampire a warm body, right? So, yeah, it's probably between those two. Yeah, you'll have to let me know in the comment section what you would have put in here. And looking up the rest of what I picked up a lot of white. Not intentionally, just because those were the cards that came around as the absolute last picks. I've got 2 really solid blue cards, but I never did pick up anything more. Yeah, we'll go with that Ring Flesh. Seismic Stomp might be, you know, if I play a deck where what I want to do is just Zerg Gresham, and they don't have Flyers, and they don't have a lot of removal, that could be the kind of thing that I put in there. But if they've got flyers, then that blanks the card. If they've got a lot of removal, then I don't have a whole lot of creatures to get through, and so what I want to do is be playing more of a long game, so it wouldn't be good. So I'll keep that out of the main deck. Although if I do play the right opponent, it could be good, because I think the only thing that actually flies is Sengir. Alright, here we go. I've got my lands, got my Mutavault. Time to submit. I will see you in round 1.